The Amazon Echo is a tool used by the CIA to spy on you. I'm going to explain how in this video. Now, what is the Amazon Echo? I'm going to go straight from Wikipedia, which a lot of people would argue is an unbiased, just source of raw information. I would disagree, but here's what it says in the opening sentence. Amazon Echo is a smart speaker developed by Amazon.com. The device consists of a 9.25-inch tall cylinder speaker with a 7-piece microphone array. Okay, let's scroll down a little bit. Features, first sentence of the features. In the default mode, the device continuously listens to all speech, monitoring for the wake word to be spoken, which is primarily set up as Alexa. Okay, so as you heard, straight from Wikipedia itself, which a lot of people, as I said before, trust, Amazon Echo is essentially a cylindrical shaped speaker / microphone that continuously is recording and listening for you to say commands. Now, what is the link between the CIA and Amazon, you might be asking? Well, let's go to this article here. Kind of summarizes it all. Amazon wins $600 million CIA cloud deal as IBM withdraws protest. After spending the last 8 months trying to block Amazon's 10-year $600 million cloud computing contract with the Central Intelligence Agency, IBM has decided to give up the fight, Federal Computer Week reported Wednesday. The battle began in January when FCW reported that the CIA had chosen Amazon Web Services over IBM to build a version of its public cloud that runs inside the CIA's data center. IBM protested the decision in February, and in June, the U.S. Government Accountability Office upheld parts of its protest and recommended the CIA reopen bidding. Amazon then sued the government to have the deal reinstated, and earlier this month, the court ruled in favor and green-lighted the deal. Amazon actually won a bidding war, with the CIA. $600 million was given to Amazon from the CIA, so that way they could set up a cloud computing system for the CIA. So there you have it. There's a link between the CIA and Amazon. Now there's this woman from the Real Times that kind of explains this whole thing really well. I'm going to play it. I'm going to speed it up a little bit so that way, some of you with the short attention spans are willing to listen to the whole thing. And, that way I don't get hit with a copyright strike. But here it is.
In 2013, Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post for $250 million. He's the CEO of Amazon, with no prior experience in the news business at all. Journalism was never his thing until he bought the paper of record in our nation's capital. That might not be a bad conflict of interest necessarily, other than you might imagine the Washington Post doing articles that might be good for Amazon. But where it gets really sketchy is when you learn about another deal Bezos did that exact same year. Because in 2013, Bezos also won a $600 million contract from none other than the CIA. So he bought the Washington Post for $250 million, and that same year, just 4 months later, he got $600 million from the CIA to handle its cloud computing, double what he just paid for this real news newspaper. And ever since then, the Washington Post has done tons of stories on the CIA, and yet it doesn't bother to disclose that information. Like, normally, such a huge conflict of interest is noted by the journalists writing the articles themselves. They write like, full disclosure, my paycheck is made of money that my boss got from the CIA. But the Washington Post doesn't do that. So now here we are 3 years later, and the Washington Post is declaring itself the arbiter of what's true or not, including how sources at the CIA say our election was compromised. They say that's real news, even though it's clear that they probably have a bias toward the CIA, considering the CIA dumped a bunch of money into their owner. Since then, lots of people have petitioned the Washington Post to, at the very least, include a note in their articles about the CIA disclosing their conflicts of interest, but the Post has just ignored them. Which leaves me with just one question. Is that how a real news outlet would behave?
All right, now the final piece in all of this is that yesterday, WikiLeaks released just a huge amount of documents from inside of the CIA, and it was confirmed that the CIA has the ability to listen to you via smartphones and smart televisions. So, it's not a radical assumption to make, thinking that, the CIA has a capability to listen to you, right, if you had purchased an Amazon Echo, considering the fact that Amazon and the CIA have a deal with each other, right? They're kind of buddy-buddy. What's even funnier is that the Amazon Echo was released like a year and a half after the deal was made. That's kind of suspect in itself. And the icing on the cake comes from an article from March 7th, a few days ago. Amazon hands over Echo data in murder case. Ugh. Yeah. So, Amazon's mounting First Amendment battle has reached an anticlimactic end. The company agreed to hand over user data of an Amazon Echo speaker for a murder trial in Arkansas, after it spent months pushing back against a warrant for the information. Amazon changed its position after the user defendant James Andrew Bates consented to the disclosure according to a court filing that was made. So at this point, it's essentially confirmed, right? I mean, Amazon has a database of recordings made by the Amazon Echo. And Amazon has a big $600 million deal with the CIA. So, as I said before, it's not really radical, when you draw all of, when you connect the dots, this conclusion that I'm kind of coming to isn't really radical. So pass this information on, folks.